Aaronford is Nevada's Attorney General. He is over crimes on property, mortgage fraud, and judicial corruption. I made several reports to Aaronford in which he ignored them all, blocked me off social media, and then began defending the judges who were assaulting me. Judge Kathy Hardcastle was the original judge assigned to my case when I filed in June of 2018. After reporting the fraud to Kathy Hardcastle, she illegally transferred my case to Raina Hughes. After catching Raina Hughes fabricating her ruling and delaying proceedings for over 2.5 years, Kathy Hardcastle's husband, Gerald Hardcastle, then begins ruling on this matter, labels me vexuous, and tries to close the case, awarding my entire house to Bobby Ante. This is very clear notary fraud of Nikki Secaucus bot. This notary fraud was reported in December of 2018 to Nevada Secretary of State, in which she failed to turn in her journal, and she also acted as the escrow agent, a prohibited act, NRS 240065B. Yet Nevada Secretary of State took no action. Aaronford took no action against Nevada Secretary of State or any of the judges committing misconduct. Prior to Raina Hughes putting in the final decree of divorce that was fabricated and unchanged from her opinion of the court, I obtained a handwriting board-certified expert. And through this, I proved I was a victim of a crime. Yet Aaronford continued to state I was not a victim of any crime.
Okay.
I told you to leave.
Okay.
If you didn't want your marriage, leave.
How did you buy this
If
house?
you don't want to be with
and
me,
I'm not on
leave.
it? How?
Because you wasn't on the loan. What do you
I
mean?
didn't have to be on the loan to be on the deed. So why am I not on this
over.
house? Why? You didn't know when you were sitting there
It's still your
as a
house.
signing?
What's the big deal?
No, you made it clear to me that
This is
it's
still
not.
your house.
No, you
I
made
don't
it clear
give
to
a
me
fuck about
that it's
this
not.
house. I'm about to move out. I don't care about this house. I told you. I said,
Why? If I'm your
me
friend,
and you
why
not
would you do
together,
it?
if
If
me
I'm
and you
your
not
friend,
together,
if
if
I'm
we
your
not
friend,
married, this
why
house
did you
ain't
do
shit.
this?
You think I want this fucking house?
I was your friend.
I made over 4 complaints to the Attorney General's office. This is one of the letters that he acknowledged the complaint. I let him know about the judicial corruption, the abuse of power, the Las Vegas Police Department not acting, the Secretary of State, Galvar, and the Nevada Real Estate Board. I gave Aaronford a very detailed description of what was happening, the abuse I was suffering, and I did this in several reports, my first one being in June. After my first report was ignored, I then filed another one. This one was in October of 2020. Aaronford had ample time to intervene and to see that all the government offices under him were not doing their job. I also made it very clear to Aaronford that I had made several complaints. I gave him all the information that he needed to ensure that he could prosecute all people involved. Yet Aaronford took no action and began attacking me, sending people to sit outside my home and my office until I had to leave the state of Nevada.
Alright, I promised myself I wasn't gonna cry, but I've been sitting here for a long time trying to just start the video. So I'm just gonna do it. It's been a very, very long 3 years. And I miss my son. And I love my work. And I have given so much to the state of Nevada. Through Breakfast with Santas, Aiden Bucks, all kinds of events, and so many beautiful memories of my son. All the parties we threw in the hospitals, all the families I met, all the moms who have supported me, all the kids in the community, little Jasmine that brings me presents every time there's a holiday, and Benji does the same thing. And, you know, to get my little office and move it to a big office, and I amaze myself at the things I've been able to accomplish here in Nevada. And I am so proud of everything that I've done in the state of Nevada. that I promised myself I wasn't gonna stop the video and keep re-recording it and keep re-recording it. So if this is a very awful video, then I'm very sorry. I just want to be honest. But my heart in the state of Nevada is broken. I have poured my soul, every resource that I have, every hour since I lost my son, into building a resource for families in the state of Nevada. And for 3 years, I have been extremely successful in doing so. I have accomplished things that I didn't even think I could accomplish. I wrote a book. I became Miss Nevada 4 times. I did all these things that I never thought I could do. But I did it out of love for Aiden, out of having the ability to talk about Aiden and to share his journey and to share his story and to make something different from what we went through. Because what we went through, it wasn't fair, it wasn't right. And a mother should never, ever have to choose between being there for her child and providing for her child. And that's why I built Aiden's Army of Angels. I built it because I wanted it to allow families to focus on their fight and not their survival. And I've accomplished that. And I have so many dreams and hopes for Aiden's Foundation. There are so many families that need my help. And there's so much of Aiden's Foundation that I need to survive because I miss my son. So for the last 3 years, to go through what I've gone through, and then to have the community that I've poured my heart into allow the abuse that I've suffered, allow the lies, allow the corruption, because it's not just this guy. He has nothing to do with it. He's just a piece of the puzzle. It's leaders of this community. It's judges. It's lawyers. It's the attorney general. It's the county. These are people that are supposed to be leaders. People that are supposed to protect this community. And these people have watched me pour my heart and soul into my work and then use that to say she's so overwhelmed and distracted she has no idea what's going on. And then the moment I figured it out, I became the target. I became the criminal. And it shouldn't be this hard to help people. And if my son was here, I would protect him. I would protect him from all of this. And I would not care what they took from me as long as my son was okay. But that's what Aiden's Army of Angels is to me, is my son. Which is why I work so hard. Which is why I give so much. And which is why I will no longer subject my son's legacy to what's being condoned in Nevada. So I will be closing Aiden's Army of Angels in Nevada. And I will no longer have a center in Nevada. We will still offer full programs and services that we developed in the state of Nevada. But I think my time here, and I've given all that I can give, and there's nothing more for me to do. So I have complete faith that my team here in Nevada can run a small office on their own. And I will be moving Aiden's center somewhere else. Somewhere where we will be celebrated, where we will be loved, and where we will be supported, and where God can overflow in my life. So as scary as this transition is for me, I'm moving as God tells me to move. So I will spend the next couple months closing Aiden's foundation in Nevada and moving it to a place where it will be safe and where we can help more families and we can bring more love. And I can have peace. And this was a very hard choice for me to make. But I've prayed about it. And I've thought about finally what is important to me. And what's important to me is my ability to be a mom again. For my ability to have a family and peace. And to be able to spread my son's love and not become so angry that I don't love anymore. So, with that being said, I am so excited. I'm very scared, but very excited to start a very new chapter of Aiden's Army of Angels. And although we will have our corporate center here in Nevada, Aiden's love and Aiden's events will now be held in Aiden's Army of Angels, Georgia. So for everybody in the state of Nevada who has loved me and supported me and offered me hugs and remembered my son, I love each and every one of you, and I will continue to hold each and every one of the angels who have passed in Nevada in my heart, and as I continue to spread joy and love and resources in the state of Georgia and all over the United States. We'll just have most of our events in the state of Georgia now. But I could not be more grateful for everything everybody has done for me. And I know the state of Nevada is not who's done this. It's the leadership. It's the government. But the people in the community, they absolutely appreciated me. They love my son. And they appreciated all that I've given to them. But I think for the first time since my son passed away, I truly need to just take care of me. And part of taking care of me is protecting myself from what's happening here and what's beyond my control. So we will be closing Aiden's Army of Angels, Nevada. And we will have a small corporate office that will still issue grants here. Make sure we have Aiden bucks and snacks. But we will be moving the actual center, support groups, the Angel Gala, Breakfast with Santa will all now be Aiden's Army of Angels, Georgia. So continue to pray for us and support Aiden's Army as I transition through this period and develop a new way to bring unconditional love to the families of Georgia.
After my third complaint to Aaronford, I made it clear to him that I knew he was in charge of crimes on property and that their office was purposely ignoring all my reports to protect the misconduct of the Las Vegas Police Department, the Secretary of State, and all 26 judges. I also informed Aaronford of the legal malpractice of Jennings and Fulton and the lack of action from the Nevada State Bar. I also informed him that I had a letter from an expert, and this was an ample time for him to do something to save my home and to stop the abuse that I was suffering. Yet Aaronford did absolutely nothing, and once I notified him, the abuse got worse. For 4 years, Shumway Van Law Firm has openly been committing legal malpractice. The Nevada State Bar has done nothing to stop this, as they represent both Linda Na and Bobby Ante. Shumway Van Law Firm has been served several times on multiple complaints in which every complaint was dismissed with no hearing, and they continued their abuse as they have now stolen my property and entered my home and listed it for sale. All proceeds will go to Shumway Van, in which they're also representing Linda Na, in which she was awarded $250,000 for slander that never happened. So, out of all the money my son raised, I will be getting absolutely nothing if I do not get justice. When Aaronford failed to act, I then filed for judicial review, and it went to Judge Jim Crockett. Judge Jim Crockett got all evidence of the judicial misconduct, the legal malpractice, the forgery, the notary fraud, and the mortgage fraud. He got all the information of Aaronford not acting and ignoring evidence, yet took absolutely no action. Therefore, it was dismissed, so I then filed civil rights in the federal court. Once I filed for civil rights, Aaronford then began defending the judges that committed the crimes against me. He took no actions to uphold the Constitution or protect my rights as a victim of a crime pursuant to 18 U.S.C. Section 3771. Aaronford began protecting Judge Raina Hughes, Judge Kathy Hardcastle, and Supreme Court Justice Christina Pickering, who ignored the notary fraud and allowed this abuse to continue. Ignoring the legal malpractice of Jennings and Fulton, who were handling 3 separate matters for me, he then allowed them to file a motion to label me vexuous and to dismiss the case, knowing that it is legal malpractice for them to litigate 3 matters over the same issue and withhold evidence. Yet Aaronford did absolutely nothing to uphold the law and allowed this abuse to continue. I then wrote a letter and sent it certified mail to Miranda, Chief Judge over all judges in Nevada. My letter went unanswered. When I filed my second civil rights complaint, in which I added Aaronford, it then went to Miranda, Being that she received the certified letter reporting the misconduct of multiple judges and did not act, she should have not taken the case. Instead, she took the case, took my first motion where I asked her to allow me to serve via email. I let her know that I had already filed multiple lawsuits and served these defendants multiple times for each one to be dismissed without a hearing, and she again denied it and allowed the abuse to continue and dismissed my federal complaint, labeling me vexuous. Miranda required none of the defendants to respond to the complaint and simply dismissed it. Many of the judges remained on my case and continued to put in orders and extort legal fees in retaliation for me seeking justice. After Miranda dismissed the case and took no action to protect my rights as a victim of a crime, I was forced to leave the state of Nevada as my life was now in danger. I moved to Georgia, in which I filed civil rights again. I named all the defendants, including Shumway Van Law Firm, and this was served in September of 2021. Yet no defendants were required to respond. It was dismissed, and I was immediately labeled vexuous in the state of Georgia. They have now illegally sold my house and kept all proceeds.